Okay, I'll start sharing sharing my screen. Okay. All right. So tips for finding and nourishing love in 2021 and beyond. Yeah, so this doesn't just apply to this year. This applies to this year and beyond. All right. So as we all know, the COVID-19 virus has changed relationships in all ways. With lockdowns and restrictions, people have been isolated and have been in extreme situations of all kinds. Single people have been more isolated than ever and have only been able to meet potential partners online. And people in relationships have had to spend way too much time with their partners without being able to give each other space. So everybody has been in extreme situations of all kinds, and of course, it's still continuing. So of course, it's been very challenging, you know, for everybody involved, no matter what your situation is, no matter if you're single or in a relationship or married. Everybody has really been challenged in all ways. So yeah, so whatever your situation has been, everybody has had to have more patience than ever. You know, people's limits and boundaries have really been tested now, leading to feelings of loneliness, fatigue, anxiety, hopelessness, and despair of the situation in the world. So no matter what your situation is, it's very important that you keep yourself happy and stable in all ways. Like this is key. You know, this is key because we can't control what's happening in the outside world. We can't control what's happening with the virus, but the only thing that we can control is ourselves, right? We can only control our thoughts, our words, and our actions and how we feel. And every day, we make a choice. Like it's your choice if you feel good one day, and it's your choice if you feel bad one day, regardless of outside circumstances. Remember that you are always in control of how you feel. Nobody else controls that. So remember that, because that's very relevant for just life in general. So online relationships, in this world that we live in now, there's a lot of online relationships. So online relationships can be complicated to manage and handle. Once you meet somebody online that you feel that you could have some potential, please keep the following in mind. It's very easy to project all your hopes and dreams onto somebody online. And this can happen whether you meet them online or in person. Many times you meet somebody and you just throw all your hopes and dreams onto this person. And people can pretend to be one way online even though they are different in person. It's very easy to lie or exaggerate things online as well. I mean, it's easy to do that in person as well, but online it seems to be easier because there's more like anonymity in online. So the dynamic of the relationship will change when it goes from virtual to in person. And of course, depending on whatever restrictions you have where you're living, yeah, like you have to navigate that, you know, when it goes from virtual to in person. So give yourself time to get to know each other, well, of course, first virtually and then in person if it's possible. Don't jump into a relationship too fast. It's very easy to lie online and make lots of promises. So try to keep your feet on the ground and determine if you have shared values that will make the difference if a relationship lasts like a really short time or if it like has potential to be like a long-term relationship. Of course, you have to be attracted to the person and all that, but you need to have shared values. If you don't have shared values, then that relationship is not going to be like a long-term relationship. And then if you can, meet in person, for a coffee, depending on your circumstances. So keep the following in mind. The most important thing is for you to feel good and confident in your own skin. Like this is the most important thing, like for everything in life, for relationships, for your job, for anything. You need to feel good and confident in your own skin, because when you feel good and confident in your own skin, that's what you're going to project, and that's the kind of energy that people will pick up from you, right? So use this isolation time to nurture yourself in all ways and become your own best friend. Like really like use this time, use this lockdown time and this time that, there's so many things that we can't do in the outside world. So it's like when you can't do things in the outside world, like turn inwards, right? Like turn inwards in all ways and, really, improve yourself in all ways, and that can be done in so many different ways. I mean, you can choose to, meditate, you can do yoga. I mean, there's so many different things, that you can nurture yourself or learn a new language, whatever it is. But always be your own best friend and don't put yourself down. Like say nice things to yourself, which is really key. So the way you feel about your appearance is apparent in your face, and whoever you're with will see it, right? And like this works online and it works, of course, in person as well. Of course, in person, you see it even more. But even online, like if you have like a virtual date or a Zoom date or whatever, the way that you feel about yourself, you're going to project that, and the person will see that, right? And like the most attractive quality that anybody can have is confidence. The more confident you are, the more attractive you're going to be. And the least attractive quality is neediness, right? So really be like comfortable and confident in your own skin, and that's going to make all the difference. So when you meet someone, their impression of you is based on the following. 55% is on your appearance and body language. I mean, body language is huge. So really think about how are you showing up? Like how are you showing up in the world in general, and how are you showing up on a date? If it's a virtual date or an in-person date or a coffee date or whatever kind of date it is, really think about like what you're projecting with your body language, and of course your appearance. And I mean, your appearance is connected to how you feel in your own skin, right? Doesn't mean that you have to be, the most beautiful, person in the world, but it's about how you feel, right? It's about how you feel. And of course, beauty is in the eye of the beholder as well. So 38% is on your style of speaking. So how you speak. How do you, like how do you speak? Like do you speak like with a clear, confident voice, or do you have like a very low voice? Like all of these things, make a difference. Of course, you have to like, the type of voice, that the other person has as well. I mean, that's an important part. But then 7% is 7% is on what you actually say. And it's amazing that that percentage is so low, right? But I mean, these are good things to keep in mind. And then, coming back to, feeling confident within yourself. So wear your clothes confidently. Wear your favorite outfits, even if it's a virtual date or a coffee and walking date or whatever kind of date it is, right? Again, it comes back to like you feeling comfortable in whatever you're wearing, right? And then movies on a date. Couples feel more loved up after watching a suspense-filled thriller than a calmer film, even like a romantic one. So, like, if you like somebody, pick like a suspense-filled thriller. It doesn't have to be, not like a horror movie or anything like that. I personally never watch horror movies, but I mean the suspense thrillers, like those, that's a good like, that's a good movie to pick on a date. And it's funny because people who have just got off a roller coaster will find photos of people more attractive compared to the ones that are waiting in the line to get on, right? So of course, whenever you can, go on a date to a fun affair. But basically, like this is connected to, you know, when you meet somebody and it's like some kind of extreme, situation. I mean, I'm not saying, I mean, if you want to, whenever you can have a date where you go, skydiving or bungee jumping or something crazy like that. But basically, like when you're in an extreme situation or where there's adrenaline, people like tend to find like who they're with more attractive, because like that adrenaline rush is connected to, being more attracted to someone. So those are like interesting things to keep in mind. And then, like, if you have established a relationship, at the beginning of a relationship, ask yourself these questions. Are you being treated with love, affection, and respect? I mean, this is what we all want, right? We all want to be treated with love, affection, and respect. And because we want to be treated, with all of these qualities, it's like you have to give yourself love, affection, and respect first, right? Because you can only share something that you already have inside, right? So treat yourself with love, affection, and respect. And then, is there mutual nurturing and support? Like, that's really important in a relationship as well. And again, you need to nurture and support yourself first to then be able to share that with somebody. Do you really like spending time with this person? Obviously, like, if you're going to be in a relationship with somebody, you need to, like their company and like spending time with them. But then again, it goes back to, do you like spending time with yourself now? And like, because of course, if you don't like your company, nobody else will like your company, right? And especially now in this time of isolation, like, think about, like, do you like spending time with yourself? I mean, now that we have to spend so much time by ourselves, like in this isolation, really, like, think about that. Like, do you like spending time, with yourself? And if you don't, find ways, you know that you like to spend more time with yourself. Of course, I mean, we're social, you know human beings are social, and of course we want to, spend, time with other people, obviously. But it's also very important, like, for you to enjoy your own company as well. Is it easy to be together? Like, does everything flow when you're together? And then, do you like yourself when you're with this person? And again, it goes back to, you have to like yourself first, and then, to like yourself with another person as well. So these are some good things to keep in mind. And then again, like, this is like to recap, like, what is the most important thing to attract a fun and loving relationship? You need to be fun and loving yourself first, right? Because the only way that you're going to attract that is if you are that first, right? So become the person that you want to be with in any situation. So when you feel happy and positive, you attract another happy and positive person. And then when you feel sad and negative, you attract another sad and negative person. So if you want a happy and positive person, be that happy and positive person first. So the most important thing is to feel complete and fulfilled within yourself always. Remember that everything begins and ends with you always. The only common denominator in all of your relationships has been you, right? And that's always going to be the case, right? Like, everything begins and ends with you. So if you're having like a problem with a person, or a problem in a relationship, look at what you can do first, right? Like, what can you change about the way that you're thinking about that situation or that person? Because the only thing that you have control of is yourself, right? You're the only one that's in control of your thoughts, your words, and your actions. You can't control anybody else, even though many times it would be nice to be able to control other people, but you can't. So the only way to change the outside world is changing yourself first. Positive self-talk. This is something that I talk about all the time, and it's something worth repeating because it's so incredibly important. You need to monitor your self-talk. Like, is it mostly positive or negative? Like, do you walk down the street like saying like really nice things to yourself, really like encouraging, motivating things to yourself? Or like, do you walk down the street thinking, work for you and you're never going to find love, right? So if you're saying nice things to yourself, keep keep it up, keep saying nice things to yourself. But if most of your self-talk is negative, find a way to turn it around. Because the way that you're talking to yourself, you're telling like the world and the universe to talk to you like that and treat you like that. So be kind and loving towards yourself, and put aside harsh criticism and judgments. This positive self-talk is one thing that I work with my clients like so much. This is actually the first thing that I work with them, because many times people come to me and they want to find a relationship, and when we start looking at their own self-talk, like most of the time it's incredibly negative, and if you're saying really bad things to yourself all the time, there's no way that you're going to attract like a nice loving relationship into your life. So really look at your self-talk, and if it's negative, find a way to turn it around and use humor. Humor is a great way to turn your self-talk around. So going back to the online world, since now the only way to meet people is online, really, mostly. So be yourself. Post pictures that show who you really are. Don't reveal too much information about yourself at the beginning to someone that you're just starting chatting with. And try to keep your feet on the ground and don't start building castles in the sky or romantic fantasies about potential partners. And then potential friends, not soulmates. I think that this is a really important part. Treat everybody that you meet online as a potential friend, not a potential soulmate. You're going to feel more relaxed if you see them as potential friends, and you put less pressure on yourself and anyone that you meet. Sometimes they'll become friends and sometimes they'll become more, but the more relaxed you feel, the better everything will flow. And of course, like, if you're in the online dating world, I mean, of course, you're there because, you want to meet like a partner. But if you think that, you have the possibility of meeting so many people online, that if you think that every person that you like is a potential soulmate, like that's just going to drive you crazy and put way too much pressure on you and the other person. So yeah, so just treat them as a potential friend, and then sometimes they can turn into, more, and they can turn into a soulmate, but not always. So important things to remember: the online world is full of many different types of people who are genuinely looking for a relationship, people who are looking for affairs, people who are looking for one night stands, the catfish, and the scammers. So it's a whole world world in there. So you have to, you have to, you have to be really discerning and use your intuition to figure out, what type of person you're talking to. So there are many online stories. You have the happy stories and you have the bad stories. Many happily married people and in relationships met online. So it is possible to meet someone nice online and have a lasting relationship. And whatever kind of experience you have online will also be influenced by the type of energy that you put out. So always be aware of your own energy and your intentions, which is the only thing that you can control in any situation. So final thoughts: whether you're meeting people online or in person, always be aware of your own energy, your intentions, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your expectations. The more aligned you are with yourself and with life and the universe, the more you're going to start attracting amazing people, events, and circumstances into your life. And actually, like, this is a really important point, because the best time to meet somebody, and the way that it usually happens is that, you know when you feel really good within yourself, like when you're living your life and doing your things, and going after your goals and living your dreams, and you're not even thinking about meeting somebody, that's many times when somebody comes into your life, when you're not even like thinking about it. That's why, people say that it happens like when you least expect it. And many times it happens like that because it's like, yeah, when you're living your life, when you're living your dreams, that's literally when you're at your most attractive. So do everything that makes you happy and live your life and your dreams, and that's when you're like the most attractive to attract that other person in. And vision boards, this is a great exercise to do, especially at the beginning of the year. I love working with vision boards. And it's basically creating a vision board with images of the life that you'd like to create. So you can go through magazines and cut out images that you like. Think about the different areas of your life: relationships, self-development, career, travel, hobbies, health, finances, social life, family, fun, creativity. Think about all the different areas of your life, and like take like a big piece of cardboard and cut out images, that reflect like the different things that you want to bring into your life. And I do vision boards with all my clients, and I've seen amazing things happen with these vision boards, because like if you don't need to, like, if let's say you have a dream And you don't need to know like how that dream is going to happen, right? All you need to have is like, you have to have the intention, you have to know what that dream is, and you have to believe that it's possible for you to, achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. But you don't need to know how it's going to happen, right? Because when you have the intention for something and you believe that it's going to happen, and then you also need to believe that you're worthy of receiving whatever it is that you want to attract into your life, the universe will bring people, events, and circumstances into your life that will help you, reach whatever goal you have, right? So it's incredibly powerful to do these vision boards. I've seen, people do these vision boards, and even when they did these vision boards, they had no idea how they were going to achieve, the things that they were putting on this vision board, and they did. So it's a really it's a great creative project to do, especially now at the beginning of the year. You can put pictures on it, and you can put quotes on it, whatever inspires you. Whatever inspires you, and then put it in a place where you see it every day. And then, like, it can be like in your bedroom, for example. And then look at the vision board and visualize yourself having all these things, that are on this vision board. And and then amazing things can start happening. And even now, I know that it, like, in the kind of situation that we have in the world right now, with the virus and the lockdowns and all of that, a lot of people are thinking, like, why even bother having a dream? We can't do anything, we can't travel, we can't do anything, right? But it's like, don't let that stop you, because I mean, this situation is not going to last forever, right? This too shall pass. We don't know how long it's gonna be around, but it will pass. It's not going to last forever. So, like, don't stop dreaming. Don't stop dreaming, even now, in this crazy situation. So stay open to magic. Stay open to magic and life surprising you. Life is full of surprises, and your whole life can change like in 1 second. Like, you can meet somebody, get a new job, like, amazing magical things can happen. So stay open to that magic. So I offer coaching sessions in English, Spanish, Finnish, and Italian. You can get in touch with me. My email is lauracoaching@gmail.com, and my website is lauraminakowski.com. So thank you very much. And now we can open it up for questions.